Welcome back to the Without Limits podcast. Today is a very special episode. The most asked for guests. The powerhouses behind the brand represent Mr. George and Michael Heaton. These boys drove from Manchester to London for this 90-minute interview, and I'm incredibly grateful to sit down and have this conversation. We discussed their childhood, the inception of Represent, and navigating the incredibly competitive space of the fashion industry. We explored their upbringing, family influences, and the values instilled in them by their hardworking parents, shedding a light on the entrepreneurial spirit that is the driving force behind their success. We discussed the trials and tribulations of running a business, from having people like Mac Miller wear your t-shirt to having to move completely online due to COVID, and restructuring the entire business before witnessing the fastest growth in the company's history. I got an opportunity to quiz George on the learned behavior and the journey he's been on over the last 3-4 years to create the guy he is today, with a relentless attitude towards his physical and mental well-being and the growth of his business. Moreover, a chance to sit down with Michael Heaton, someone who doesn't do podcasts, a dark horse, perhaps the hardest worker in this room. He's a true visionary and a creative, and someone that still lives through the values of Represent in his own unique way. This really was a powerful interview with two guys who share the same values but bring them to life in two very unique ways. If you enjoy this episode, I'd love you guys to leave a comment. Please share it, like it, make sure you're following the channel to stay up to date with all the guests upcoming. I'm putting an incredible amount of effort into this podcast because I know you guys are enjoying it just as much as I am. So without further ado, please sit back and listen to the two brothers behind a 9-figure fashion business, a true brand and powerhouse, Represent. I give you Mr. George and Mike Heaton. Fuck, I've got the Heaton brothers in front of me. This has been the most asked for podcast. Genuinely, over the last few months, I've put out who should we get on the pod. Mike and George together has been the most requested. So first and foremost, thank you very much for driving down this morning. I know it's not easy to get down from Manchester. And I have just spent 5 days with you in Miami as well. So you've probably seen enough of me and are pretty sick of me. But I've finally got you both on the podcast. It means a hell of a lot.
I think like us coming to Miami with you and spending that time, especially between you and Mike, is why we're here.
Sick.
Like, it gives you that confidence, and it's like we're friends as well. Like, he wants to do stuff with friends. He doesn't want to go on random podcasts and just talk a lot of shit. Like, it's about having good conversation, isn't it, with the right people?
Yeah, and that means a lot because I think the only other podcast you've been on, Mike, is Stephen's.
Yeah.
So you've got a good track record now. It's getting better for you on podcasts from Stephen to Without Limits.
That was quite a few years ago, though, so I do apologise if I'm a bit rusty.
No, that's good, man. I mean, having spent those 4 or 5 days with you, and I said this to Sam, like you get to actually see what you're truly like, and you get to see the real Mike Heaton. And I think you've been a bit of an enigma in this space.
Yeah.
So the growth and rise of Represent has been largely through what we see with George on social media, but there's an artist behind that, and I think you bring a hell of a lot to the table. And I think the humility that you have and I guess almost the vulnerability and not knowing how good you are is something that I want to try and tap into in this conversation. But before we start, I ask everyone what Without Limits means to them. I don't expect everyone to have a profound answer, but yeah, for me, Without Limits is about a mindset, and it's about pushing, and it's about striving, and it's about thinking, but believing something to try and achieve it. And I know you guys have taken Represent from ground zero, and the story's inspirational. So there's obviously something over the last 10 plus years where you guys have really seen big vision and push yourself. So I'll go with you, George, because I expect you to come out with something.
I love quotes.
Yeah. So what does Without Limits mean to you, bro?
I think it means like unconventional thinking, doing more than what is required and what's outside the box and what you think is possible in yourself and in your business. That's literally what it means to me.
Yeah, and I think having watched you very closely over the last couple of years since we've become good friends and and worked on some of the collaborations, which I'll come on to talk about. I think you're someone that's constantly stretched yourself, and often I've referenced this before. When I watch how you go about your day to day and all these kind of evolutions of your life and moving to LA and all those other things, like the ability to adapt and create a new routine for you is something that almost happens straight away, but that comes from deliberate action,
right?
And knowing that you've always got more to give. And I think Without Limits, when I think about what it means to me, and I watch your content, I'm like, fuck, this guy lives and breathes it just through his own way.
I think it's so weird that like the more you do, the more you can do.
Yeah.
And like with you, I see the same in you, and I see the same in other people that I follow. But when you're just starting out, or you're not at what people think is peak or optimum, you don't realize how much you're actually doing. Like now, I look at a week when we go by, and it's like, shit, we've just done what we did in a year in a week. So like when people look at you on a day to day, you're doing what they do in a month, which is crazy to some people, but Yeah. It's just the more you do, the more you can do.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? What does without limits mean to you?
When I look at that, it means like by any means. Just, you've got to go in there and make it happen, and it doesn't matter what it takes to make it happen. But yeah, that's when I look at that. By any means, get your head down, get it done.
It's powerful. I think you two are shining examples of people who live without limits, and we've referenced a few other people there as well, and people that we, probably in our circle and that we frequent with. And I think the common denominator with all of us is that we do have this capacity and we do get things done by any means necessary, but it's pegged to clear vision and a real passion for what we're doing.
Right.
And that's probably where a lot of people fall short, is that they're in jobs or they're in a routine, or their day-to-day is quite mundane and they haven't really found what works for them. And it's not easy to find that, right? But I think what you guys are built to represent is like, you can see you're clearly passionate about it. And I know there's been, twists and turns and good moments and bad moments, which we'll come on to talk about. But having spent that time with you, I think across the board, not just you two, but the team and the guys in which you roll with, the guys and girls, you can see that all of you are aligned to a mission. And I know on a mission is the strap line, but it's very clear that it is one in, all in, and there's a mission there, and it's done by any means necessary. Okay, I'm going to get George to intro Mike. For those people that don't know who Mike Heaton is, how would you introduce your brother?
I'd say he's the artist, the creative, the workhorse behind Represent that not many people get to see, just because he is working all day, every day, and he doesn't use social media to express his workload like I do. Whereas I'm like the driving force through eyes on the brand. He is the guy in the background that's actually pulling in the work. I can give him the ideas, but he's the one that creates the things. I can't do that. So hand in hand, that's what creates the brand.
It's a good intro.
That's a good intro. I mean, you see that, right? You're like the unsung hero. I know we spoke about it in Miami about ways in which people like myself, someone who's very passionate about your brand and want to know a little bit more, particularly more about you, how we can see more of that, like where are the platforms, how do we get to understand a little bit more about Mike Heaton? But it's very clear that you're someone that likes to operate in the shadows, and that you are someone that George will come to you with an idea and you can pull it together. Yeah. And you're pulling it together better than anyone in the industry right now, right? Which is why Rep's so well known for the designs and staying on trend and the cult-like following that you guys have created. So I think you need to give yourself more credit than what you do. But it's good to hear George talk so highly of you. And again, whenever I spoke to George in private about you, it was always singing your praises. So how would you introduce Mr. George Heaton?
Just the absolute most relentless sibling that you could ever ask for, in terms of just all round great guy. I mean, puts me to shame with the amount of stuff he ticks off his list per day. It's crazy, and definitely wouldn't be anywhere where we are now without him. I think we just work perfectly together. We're not the same person gunning for that same like presidential role. It's like I said, I'm more behind the scenes. He's more the forefront, and it just works really well, doesn't it?
How is that like? I mean, it must be pretty amazing watching your little brother shine like he has done over the last couple of years. But was it always like that? Did you always see something in him that maybe you didn't want to? You didn't want to step out into limelight?
Like even going watching Sports Day back in primary school, same relentless spirit back then, and he's always been like that.
Are you as competitive, do you think?
No way.
Where do you think you got your competitive edge from?
I don't know what it was really. I think just different stages of my life where things would happen and it'd make me do something a lot more than what I was already, and just breaking through limits. I don't really know what exactly that was. Like as a kid, I'd make sure I won every single Sports Day race until I was like primary school. I never lost a race, never came second. They had to put people in drawing first with me because they didn't like it.
Honestly, it was everything. I mean, even like when we used to play Game Boys and stuff, it had to have that top score. Yeah, it had to.
I remember, I mean, it's a tangent, but when we filmed that first campaign for the 247 Marchon collab, I remember it was a classic, right? Staging a few shots that will make it look as though we're working quite hard, and we were working hard, but it was all for the campaign. And at the end of it, he's like, "Can we race?" I was like, "What do you mean, can we race?" It goes, "Me and you, 100 meters, this race."
Yeah.
I'm thinking, fuck, this is the last thing I want to be doing. And next minute, we're in a fucking full blown race. I almost tore my shoulder because I was pumping my arm so fast.
I remember that.
I mean, so I obviously grew up around with sport being a huge influence. I don't really. Obviously, fitness is a huge passion of yours, George. I know you, Mike, it's a big one for you as well. And people don't see how much you train, but you're in fucking a great shape. And when we worked out in Miami, you could hang as well. So,
I mean, compared to you boys,
well, no, I think you, like I say, credit where it's due. You're in great shape, and you can hang. But I suppose other than the modern day fitness stuff we see, I haven't seen what childhood was like from a sporting standpoint, other than what you just said there about
There was
racing and things. But I know that skating was a big influence on you. Like, what did childhood look like in terms of like hobbies, passions? Was it fitness? Was it sports, football, rugby, whatever?
I'll let you talk.
yeah, I suppose it was like a lot of the outdoors. A lot of started off messing around outside all day, every day, and then picked up skating. And then our mum and dad got a place in Abersock, so we picked up like wakeboarding, surfing, all that kind of stuff. And then I guess it just kind of went from there, really, didn't it?
Yeah, Mike's massively inspired by the West Coast. So like surfing, blading, biking, everything like that. All the like Americanism of what sports culture is. Like that's what inspired a lot of the brand stuff. So we grew up like learning how to skate, learning how to rollerblade, learning how to BMX, all that kind of stuff. And then like because where we are in the country, there was like a lot of rugby league. So like become friends with rugby league players and get involved with that. And my dad was a massive rugby league fan, so we'd go to all the Wigan games. So there was sports all around us. It's just that from our younger days, like early teens to even to 20s, we didn't really do anything sports wise. That wasn't there whilst we were in like high school and college.
So what was the outlet? Skating? What were you doing in your spare time?
I think it was just like, we were watching it on the TV. I think it was X Games.
Yeah, always the X Games.
Games, and then MTV music videos. Just wanting to dress like that and skate like that and do all them kind of activities that were on X Games, really.
Just think about how many hours you spent on the front yard, like practicing to skate. That was literally it.
And that had the early influence in the way you guys viewed style, fashion, and
100%, yeah.
Because we didn't fit in, did we?
No, like I wanted to be Mike. Mike was my bigger brother, and he was inspired by skate. So he was wearing like baggy jeans and big thick skate shoes and like long hair. No one else looked like that in my class at school, but I thought that was cool, so I wanted to look like that. And I think that's what kind of cultivated the brand.
I've heard you say that before, like you weren't cool when you were kids. Like hanging with you now as two of the coolest people I probably know. I think, how the fuck were these boys not cool?
No, I don't think it's that we weren't cool. I think it's that we just didn't fit in. Like it was shaved heads and tracksuits and standing on the corner smoking. And we didn't want to do that. Like we didn't see that as our culture. Like Mike said, we watched different TV, was inspired by different music and different sports. So we just grew up slightly different.
Yeah. Outside of that, what was childhood like? I quizzed you a little bit last week on kind of your mum and dad, and I know your dad, sold, was it minibuses?
Yeah.
And your mum's was it hairdresser? Yeah. So obviously, stable upbringing.
Yeah, definitely.
Was it fairly grounded as kids?
Yeah, super grounded.
Yeah,
like,
great family.
Yeah,
Really great family.
Our dad doesn't even swear.
Really?
Yeah. Hates swearing.
I've never seen him drunk.
Really?
Never even seen him drunk. Very like stoic man. Like no emotion shown most of the time. You would never get emotion out of him. I think that's what kind of carved us as well. Just a workhorse, just would leave at 7 a.m, drop us off at school, would work until 6, 7 p.m. every night, wouldn't he? You'd wait for him to get home every night before you go to bed. And that was like literally 7 days a week throughout our whole life, weren't it? So like, I think we've learned how to work through that.
I remember when I first started following you guys, it was maybe longer than that, 7, 8 years ago. I wonder whether there'd been, a helping hand in getting started.
Yeah.
And I assumed your dad was uber successful.
Yeah, I think everyone did. And I think for the first few years that fueled us, because we'd get so much hate because people would always think that, especially like locally. Like if you're starting a brand locally, everyone in school is like, so you go straight to your dad. Your dad's done it. Your granddad's done it. Like my dad, he, how do I say it? Like middle class, but like upper middle class. Like dropped us off in a Range Rover to school every day. So we looked like it was sick. Our house was bigger than what most people's houses were in the town. So like that was sick, but that was like, that would give us fuel as kids to be like, shit, we need to do this. Like we need to be better than that. Like we can't let my dad down or just work a normal life. Like and it wasn't a fucking amazing life. It was just way better than what like locally was around us, I guess. But yeah, like you can go on the accounts that represent and see that no money's ever been put into the business and it was all started from zero. And I think people got over that as it succeeded and just went way past what any expectations were.
Like there were times when, so we've got a sister as well, Melissa. There's times when she'd go around to her mate's house and there'd be some guys there that were like my age who were brothers of the girl that she was hanging around with that would just talk absolute crap to her that, you know, your brothers are still in the shed and you know, your dad's paying for them to live. And it was just like, she'd come home crying, wouldn't she? But that only fueled us to just, you know, and then there's only so much like they can keep using that excuse before it's like, right, okay. You know
people just don't see the hard work and shit that goes into stuff and they just assume it's just jealousy. I mean, it's amazing to hear that your dad is, you know, such a workhorse and instilled that kind of work ethic in you. Was there any other values that was passed on from what he was about?
He's still like that now, and he's like mid-60s, still works every single day, still sells the same minibuses to the same people every day. Other values, yeah, like I said before, he's very like calm, very still, not emotional. So I think we get that from him. And then on my mum's side, she was just always like supportive, weren't she? Like my mum would sit on the end of my bed every day and be like, you're going to make it, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Like this, like you can make your dreams happen like every day. She would come and sit on the end of my bed and say that when I was going to sleep, which
she never did that to me though.
Yeah. I think she just knew something was there. Yeah. But she would always be like, you need to go, because when we were in our teens, Mike was in college and uni. You would go to uni and do your work and you'd just be chilling, wouldn't you, for the rest of the day? You'd always be in bed or just fucking hanging out, playing on games. So like my mum was always like, you need to do something together. Like you need to both like become something and not just sit by the wayside and let his talent go to waste. Because Mike was an amazing artist. Like all his stuff, if you look through it through college and uni, was like the best fucking shit you'd ever see. And we didn't want that to go to waste either, because like you see so many great artists and graphic designers now, and they just end up working in agencies and doing jobs for other people that they're not like passionate about, and it's such a shame and a waste of talent.
And that's what we saw like all my friends doing, you know, who left uni. They would go down to London, which sounds amazing, and then they'd end up in an agency and they'd be designing for like just something so boring, you know, like a bank or something, Lloyd's TSB.
Well, you almost didn't go into it because you wanted to be a boat salesman. That was a revelation you told me.
Yeah.
Last week.
Well, you did everything, didn't you?
I mean, that's a pretty kind of humble job to go into, right? Being a boat salesman. I guess the influence might have been from your dad, what he was doing with the minibuses.
Yeah, he tried to make us work for him so long. Like Wednesdays and Saturdays, we were cleaning buses, trying to figure out how to sell buses, like taking stickers off, changing seats, all that kind of stuff, just power washing buses. I think we quickly realized that like, fuck no, that was not what we wanted to do. Like we're creative people, we want to be in arts somehow. It's like, how do we turn our art into sales? That was like the big question around.
That's what we wanted to do. Yeah, we wanted to sell art.
You have been described as the artist. You're obviously extremely creative, and you've got an eye for things that look good. Yeah. What was your superpower then? Was it
just copying Mike?
Right.
Whatever Mike wanted to do. I just like, if he drew a picture, I wanted to draw a better picture. You know what I mean? But I found a love through clothing because my grandma was like a seamstress, and she would adjust things to make them fit me. And I didn't realize back then that what I was doing was just creating this look that was a bit different to everything else that was in the market. And my friends would love it, and then they'd want to come to my grounds and get their stuff cut and changed and adjusted. And then I realized like that was probably the starting point to build a brand from.
So the inspiration for you, Mike, West Coast of America, skate, surf, the outdoors.
Yeah.
George has copied and liked the same stuff. How did you get to the point in which, Represent starts to be the inception of Represent? And
So I think, around the time we were both at university, I think I was leaving.
you both went to uni.
Yeah, we both completed a graphic design degree.
We basically were. It was the rise of Instagram, wasn't it? It just started, and we got to see a lot of those type of like US West Coast brands in the streetwear scene, doing their own kind of, what would you say?
It was just like graphic t-shirts. Graphic t-shirts became a thing, and like band merch.
Graffiti artists, but then, going on to like make brands, and then skate brands were like blowing up at the time. And we thought like, maybe this is the easiest route to sell art. Just put it on a t-shirt, and instead of like, like creating like selling canvases or,
or being held in a gallery 100 years from now,
Because like I'd had some experience in that. Some of my work was put in a gallery and then it got sold. And there was like a bit of a buzz from that, but nothing like seeing someone wearing your art. That was like that just seemed like a lot more interesting avenue to go down for me, really.
Yeah. How did the business start then? I know you've touched on the story before, but so no handouts. You guys get together and go, let's have a crack at this.
No, it wasn't even that really. It was just, I was in college. I was at the end of college. Mike was 2 years into uni, and the degree, like the job role was to create something that's up with your graphics on. So I thought, right, this is the perfect time. I've been doing all this stuff with my gran, and I've been looking at all these skate brands, and I was like, right, we can do that. Well, let's be the British version of what Diamond Supply and Huff and all them guys are, because there's nothing really coming up over here. Chose a name. It was on a list of paper, and it was like representing, and a friend of mine put his arms on my shoulder and he was like, take the ing off and that'll do. Didn't do any IP checks on it. Got absolutely fucked for it later in life, but you live and learn. And went ahead with that and just literally made a box logo with it printed on it. Sold it to 25 friends, then 25 more friends. Then we made a website through Big Cartel, which was like Shopify of that era. Put an Instagram page up. Sponsored a few skaters with just free clothes that I knew from Wales and down in London. Took loads of shots of them guys skating in it, and then they'd sell it to their friends, and then their friends would sell it to their friends, and then your mum and dad's friends were chipping in just to like support, and then like your PayPal balance was growing. And it took about, what would you say, a year for you to come in?
Yeah.
I was just like, the graphics were terrible. Everything was just me just rushing through things trying to make money. And then Mike would come in and put his artistic spin on the way the logo looked or how we'd done things, and added a few more products into the mix, and it just started growing and growing. And we kind of held back on spend for a good few years. Like, we didn't put anything into marketing. It was just free clothes and then selling the clothes via Big Cartel whilst I was at uni. So 3 years of uni, when I was just like, in the mornings I'd post my orders at the post box, and then afternoons I'd come back, see Mike, make some graphics, speak to suppliers, figure out what's going on. So we spent like 3 years just grinding out in our bedrooms.
You forget when you see these big companies having all the success now that everyone does start the same way, right?
Yeah.
It starts with just the first 10 people that want to buy your products, and then that 10 people, if they have a good experience, tell another 10 people, and it really is just like from the ground up. I think everyone I've spoken to that has started a business starts in that manner, and I think young people that often ask me now, "How have you done it?" I'm sure you get, tenfold the questions that I do. People just need to get started. Get started with something they're passionate about and try and create the best product they can.
Yeah, I read something not long ago where it's like, focus on one customer at a time. And I guess if you do that for so long, that'll build up and they'll stick with you. And that's how a business is formed, really. That's how great communication and customers are formed. Like, the first guy that bought my t-shirt, the first ever order, works in the business. He's still here with us. It's fucking crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. When you came on board then to make George's prints a little bit more artistic, did you see this as being...
To make him some money.
Did you see this as being your future, or was it, I'm helping my brother out?
Like, back then, I just wanted to create stuff, and I still do now. Like, for me, if I'm not creating something, I'm not happy. I just get like depressed. So that was like a way in which I could, I was there, and I was very, very happy to do that. And we just got to it, didn't we? But we didn't think about like the end goal, or else we probably never would have started.
Yeah, there was no mission for it. It was just to prove our mum and dad wrong, that we didn't need to clean minibuses for our living. I could make money another way.
And at that stage, when you come together, did you clearly define skill sets and whose roles and responsibilities of what?
That took 5 years probably. 5 years of just grinding it out and figuring out what you actually enjoy doing and what I enjoy doing. And that also changes. Every year that changes. The more you grow, the more you learn, the more you listen to things. Like, you were doing the accounting for the first 5 years.
We've both done every single job.
Yeah, we have, yeah.
And we were just like delegating back then, like doing a bit of the accounts, printing off labels, sticking them on a bag.
Customer support, logistics, shipping, everything like that. Done it all.
Learning how to use a camera, doing all the photography, just everything.
At what stage did you go from printing t-shirts for like the skate crew? Because obviously now the brand stands for, well, we've got the 247 range, but we've got premium wear, we've got luxury wear. Like, you can kick it pretty much across a whole spectrum with various other brands, and a deliberate move to have premium fabrics, like not to be like every other brand. That's not really seen obviously in the skate world.
Right.
So at what stage did you start to think, okay, how can we actually improve the fabrics, the clothes, the cuts, the fits?
I think it was just a constant progression. Like, always wanted it to be the best. Always wanted like everything to just be like, we wanted to wear it. I don't want to make anything that we didn't want to wear. So the quality of stuff was like a key fundamental all the way through. And the more money we made, the more we could invest in going to different places and finding new factories and going over to Italy and Portugal and figuring out where everyone else is being made that's luxury and doing that kind of stuff. But I think it took a good 3 years of just using blanks and messing around, printing things to actually gain enough capital to go and do something like that.
Yeah, because there's only so much, like, you know, you can do the most amazing print ever, but if it's on a t-shirt that you don't like the fit of, where you think the neck's too big, or, you know, it's too cropped, or the sleeve's too long, you
lose it, don't you?
You lose it, yeah.
So you've left university at this stage. You're now fully together. And we sort of spoke about that first 5 years. Was that first 5 years like constantly kind of thinking where we taking this and what we're doing with it? Was it starting to become a bit more of an operational business, or was it still?
Yeah, we went to our accountants one day that my dad had. Took us to his accountants, like a proper one-man band, everything done on paper with a pencil. And it's took a few weeks for him to like figure out what we were going to do. And I remember him saying, like, if you've got this much in your bank at this point, you should carry on. If you don't, just fucking knock it on the head, because it's been like 4 or 5 years. And we had way more than what
was the figure he said?
I think it was like 100 grand, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was that 100 grand?
Like that, yeah.
So then that gave us the autonomy to just be like, right, let's fucking go all in on this. I was about to leave uni. Mike had no other job going. You were waiting on, weren't you? Part-time. And then we just went into my dad's shed and just fucking started building from there. Took on my best friend, who is still in the business, took on a few other guys, and we all just did everything between us for the next few years and figured out how to make garments and how we could do things differently to everything that was in the market. Like, what was streetwear at that time, and then what was luxury, and how do we combine the two? And I kind of guess, not really luck, but we fell into this place where that then became an actual new market. So there was luxury and there was streetwear, and we were in the middle of it because we were trying to make this product that was really good quality, but it was still for the guys that are wearing streetwear. And then like everything just seemed to come together in that market, and like you saw Louis Vuitton collab with Supreme and stuff like that, where they were bringing them worlds together. So we sat perfectly in there, didn't we?
I remember when I came across you boys, it was probably 2016, 2017, and there was a few big names in America that were wearing your stuff. I know that's very free, though. It's commonplace now. You see the latest DJs, basketball stars wearing rep. How back then did you get rep on some of those people? I can't remember who it was, but I saw it on like one of the big American rappers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is probably you, isn't it? Because it started with Rizzle Kicks and then sort of
Really,
yeah.
Just literally like DM them on Instagram or go and watch the gig and try and get on the tour bus after it. Like, yeah. Like, what do they call it? A groupie. I was a groupie for Mac Miller. No, but he was like my favourite artist, and I loved his style. And he was in Manchester, and I just DM'd him, and he was like, yeah, jump on the bus. And I took a load of clothes, and I was like shitting myself.
Was the brand, how big was the brand then? Like, did it have credibility in that space?
No, nothing whatsoever. It was still a bedroom brand. It was still operating out of our bedrooms in the back shed. And And like Matt Miller posted it on his Instagram and his Twitter, and it was like his profile pictures and stuff. So we were like, fuck, we're on to something here.
Well, it was good quality, you know.
Yeah, it was always great.
And you can't make someone wear it, you know. They whether they choose to wear it or not. No, we didn't pay them to do it.
No.
It was just they just liked it.
It's again just another example of like how you need to do things. Just reach out to someone, put yourself out.
Yeah, you really got to do that.
Send 1,000 messages to maybe get one response from someone.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably where a lot of people fall short now. Like the access to some of these, you know, stars is more readily available now than ever before.
You're one message away from anyone, and most people will read the DMs. Like most celebrities would do. Obviously, like you kind of get an ego, or you get a thing later on where you just, you know, you would never do that again. But like when you're a kid, you're 18, and like Matt Miller's in your city, just try and do something.
Yeah, it's power. Something that always plays in my mind. This comes from your YouTube in the opening bit where you go, someone asks you, when did you know your brand was popping off? And you go, because it's sick. I say that all the time. If something happens,
So funny, isn't it?
Because it's sick. And obviously you pop into my mind with it. So I guess the question is, like, when did you guys know that it was popping off? Because I think where I really started to see the acceleration in Represent, and particularly with your personal brand, G, it was through COVID, which I know was a conscious decision for you to step forward to be the face of some of the campaigns. Obviously, the access to models and the traditional way of you doing campaigns wasn't possible during COVID. And I know you went through a whole kind of identity change in the books and the podcasts. But was it during that period, or was it prior to that you know that things were, you know, you were onto something?
It was around that period. Just wanted to change everything. Drew out a whole new map of how I wanted my life to look, who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, and how we could push this brand further than what we thought the limit was.
So did it start with who you wanted to be, and then how the business needed to service that in terms of what you created? Or was the business in a position of, we're going down the wrong direction, the trends are changing, the industry is evolving?
Exactly. The fundamentals were the business wasn't growing, wasn't successful, and
define what successful meant to you at that stage?
At that stage, it was like it was like its first 2018, 2019 was like non-profitable. Like we didn't make profit, and that killed me because I thought from the get-go like we could make profit forever. And we'd put nearly 8-9 years into it then, and we got told that we're not making money. And
what didn't work?
The top line was stagnant as well. So
what
it was
do you think that was?
We just went down the wrong path and chased the wrong things and looked at the wrong people and tried to be the wrong brand, didn't we?
Trying to be just like doing shows, thinking we were, you know,
like Milan Fashion Week, trying to put 30 looks together when we'd not even got the right production capacities to do the wholesale numbers required or have the margins to do it. So we're going down that route with the brand, and as well, like just personally, I fell out of love with it for a while. There was like a year when I was just like, didn't enjoy it, and I think that really rippled across the business, and a lot of people left, and we had to just completely restructure. We'd moved into this horrible little office that we hated, and like I didn't enjoy going to work, didn't enjoy the people I was working with, and we didn't really know our own positions within the brand.
Not to make it about money and fame and what have you, but at this stage, did you have your Rolls Royce? Had you experienced?
Yeah, a little, but not success to a level where you can kind of have what you want. Just a little bit of thing. Like, we still lived at our parents' house.
Really?
Yeah. Well, like I was 26, Mike was 28, 29. We're still living at our parents. We're still doing the same thing we were doing every day, but we just had this like year of realization. But it was the best year ever because we went to like rock bottom with it. And I remember sitting in the office, me, you, James and Steph, and just completely ripped the business apart and put on a whiteboard what we were going to do. And we did that every day for like the next 6 months. James figured out how to move our production so we could make it more profitable. We went to a wholesale agency that would then put us in the right stores at the right times. And we looked at the online and was like, right, we've built this online following for 8 years. There's 500,000 people on Instagram. Let's start actually talking to them. Let's start communicating with them well. Let's start pushing out product that they're asking for, not just random things that we think is right because it's on the runway. And that took like 6 months, and you could see it start bubbling up, couldn't you? And then 2020 COVID hit. We'd just done all these orders through this wholesale account, like thinking, fuck, we booked like 5 million quid or whatever. And every single store in the world is going to shut down and no one wants to take their orders. And we were like, shit, we just paid for all this production. Do we like ask the factories back? Like every other brand in them factories were pulling out, cancelling their orders. So we were like, okay, maybe what actually we do is we go ahead with our orders. We're the only brand to do that. And we just take it on the chin and we try and put it all online and try and help them factories out.
Who's making those decisions? You do?
Yeah, just us sat together thinking like, if everyone else pulls out of them factories and we don't, we're going to be the favoured brand when this is all over. So we did that, and luckily we had enough money in the bank to just last us that time period of when everything was shut.
But so as well, the stores did cancel their orders.
Yeah, they all cancelled their orders with us. Everyone did.
You know, pushed us into just full on committing to D2C, didn't it?
Yeah, we just looked at the site and the Instagram and thought, let's just market this as one omni-channel, boom, just get everything on there. Let's do it in drops. Let's put things out every single week. Let's keep testing things, small quantities, whatever. Like if we had an order for 20,000 t-shirts, we'd split it between 10 graphics. And Mike just went fucking crazy with the graphics for like 6 months straight. And we'd drop one every week. And you'd see the orders coming in. Like first week it'd be 300. And then you'd be like, okay, 300 tees at 100 quid. That's not bad. And then they'd all post it on the stories and then it would be like 600 on the next week. And then it was 900.
Just snowballing.
And it just fucking kept growing like double every single week. And then like, I know Mike's struggle was, how do you beat the last graphic? And it like got to a point where we were like, fuck, like we'd done 30 graphics over this period of where everyone's shut and everyone's posting about Represent. How do we then turn that back into a sustainable business? Because we didn't want to just drop a graphic t-shirt every week and just be going for that.
Was that around the time I think you guys went down to, I want to say like Cornwall Way, and I saw like a campaign, like a speedboat.
Yeah, that was Abersock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, was it Wales?
Yeah.
Was that around this time?
Oh yeah.
Where you just thought, fuck, we're going to stick by our factories because you've worked your way up to get to those factories where you can get better made garments. And if you pull out now, you're going to drop to the back of the queue again. Stick by them, be resourceful. We've built up an online following. Let's start talking, engaging with our audience and become real relevant to them during this period. And we'll make the campaigns ourselves.
Yeah, that was literally it, wasn't it?
I mean, we had so many eyes on the brand from lockdown and from those graphic drops. So want to then go ahead and all that into like campaigns and really like give that whole look of like a proper brand, not just t-shirts and hoodies.
It's crazy to think that you've got this 9-year period where you've built some success, but you're still living at home. In 2018, 2019, you make zero money. And then COVID happens. And then it goes back to what we said about without limits, right? It's like by any means necessary, we're going to come out swinging.
Yeah.
And I think, the story about, or the reference to sticking by your factories, I think is something that like people probably don't see it through your socials. But I certainly saw it last week, and I've referenced it in the start. The level of like humility and just being fucking good guys is unbelievable. I don't think people probably truly appreciate that enough.
Yeah, it's
your authenticity and just good guys, like you're fucking genuinely good guys. And I think that reference of the factory and sticking by them and the people that were supporting you up to that period is a testament to that.
Yeah,
and I think that's why you've had the success and be able to build team. People trust you.
Right.
Your customers trust you.
Yeah.
Everything you want that you drop, I want to buy. They want to buy.
Yeah, because it's authentic and it's personal as well. Like, and I know a lot of people say business is war and you go into war every day and like everyone's your enemy, but actually no, they're not. Like there's enough food on the table in fitness, in fashion, in whatever industry you're in for everyone. It just depends how much you want of it. But if you can be good to the people who are in your business, that own your business, supplying for your business, like why wouldn't you be? All it's going to do is benefit you in the long run, isn't it?
I think we're talking here about power of brand and what the sort of feelings that brands make people, the feelings you evoke for people. It seems as though in that period the brand that's where it was actually built, right? I know it started 9 years prior, but
that's when
where the brand had this new identity.
Yeah,
you guys are probably run the most successful brand right now, I think, in terms of relevance. Has that been a conscious effort around brand, or how have you guys done it? Because I'm sure there'll be a lot of wisdom there for other people. Is there anything you particularly think about? I know there's obviously the visual identity of the brand and it being consistent and look and feel, something that, George, I spoke to you about it with the recent Flannels collab. You guys are so protective over the visual identity of Represent, what it means and how it looks and the aesthetic. And that's very, it's inspiring for me with the growth of Marchon and what we're trying to do, but then also, I guess, the deliberate action with the run clubs and the training clubs and trying to make a connection with the community, I know that you manage your own social media and you get back to 85-90% of people that speak to you.
Yeah.
So all those little touch points is what I think makes Represent such a powerful brand. But is there anything else that you guys do or think about?
I think it's just treading that line between being very meticulous and very like everything has to be a certain way, and also then allowing yourself to just try different things. There's always going to be new things that we can be doing, that we should be doing, that might be a bit scary, like doing a fucking run club. We're a fashion brand. Why are we allowed to do a run club that 700 people turn up to? So it's like figuring out what we're good at and what does work for us in terms of building a brand and looking at the brand from a different perspective and the brand image, but then also just like having the without limits factor in it, where like it's unconventional thinking. What can we do that other brands aren't doing? Like who else is doing this in fashion? Like same with 247. That was born from a pant, and then we decided to make an apparel line out of fitness, which not many fashion brands have been able to do, especially successfully, which is very unconventional of us and a bit naive, but we just went into it and did it, and it's proving to work. So it's like, I do think we're living in a time now where you can do almost anything. Think your own brand, like what is Marchon? Like it's everything. There's so many parts to it. This doesn't have to be one singular thing. I know a lot of people say focus on only what you're good at. And like one brand like Prada's very good with their nylon, and people seem to think it just stops there. But like if you can do 10 different things, and like if things go up and down, you can rely on other things. But if you can come up and show the best, I guess, show up the best in every way you can, whether it is the run club, whether it's just your personal touch on replying to DMs, whether it's the brand's image, whether it's the campaign that gets put out there, or it's the quality of the garments. If you can just put your best into it, then I feel like it's always going to be successful.
Yeah, like you're so meticulous about campaigns and visuals that come out of it, and I'm so meticulous on like brand identity, and I think both of them things,
output, isn't it?
Yeah, we could probably do anything that we want as long as we keep them on lock.
Yeah. I mean, that's being safe in that knowledge as well is powerful. I think you're right in that people do say focus on what you're good at, but there's no reason why you can't be good. You can learn to be good at other things as well. And that's what you guys have done with 247. It's what we've done with the supplements and bringing on other experts and just becoming good in different spaces. I want to ask, I think you kind of referenced it 2018-19 where you hit rock bottom. But if you were to start again from zero, what would you do differently? And what do you see the challenges like in present day being to people like yourself? I know you just referenced there, Mike, so long as you stay protective over the brand identity, and George with his relentless work ethic and being meticulous with everything, you can probably go and do anything you want to do, which I truly believe, because I've referenced before that so long as I've got myself and my own health and well-being,
right,
and I'm motivated, whatever I'm going to do, I think I'll be successful. Or is there anything you'd do differently if you were to start again now for anyone that's maybe starting a business, whether it's in fashion or?
Yeah, personally, I'd do a lot of reading, a lot of writing, and a lot of learning. I'd go and try and get as much information out of people that I can, and try and realize that like you've got to have humility. You've got to let your ego go, and like technically we had a bit of a restart. It was like the second mountain in that 2019 period, where the brand really got rebuilt, because no one really knew about Represent before then. A lot of people you talk to now, they've only known it for the past 4 years, 3 years. So yeah, I'd say that drop your egos, get humility, like go and fucking research things, find out everything before you start. Make sure it's the thing you want to do, really.
Be patient as well. Like not everything is just going to blow up overnight. And now you'd be in a sea of people on social media who are trying to do this. It's like everybody's got a brand. Mm-hmm. So I think as long as you can remain authentic and play the long game, I think it will stand the test of time and come out.
Yeah, I think that's something that's really relevant with you, Mike, and how you've kind of, your journey in Represent is that you've just stayed true to who you are and kind of stayed in the shadows, just being the artist, and not tried to, it would be very easy, the success you've had, to just go straight onto social media and start shouting about everything you've been about and what you can do and etc. But you're biding your time, and I know that you're going to make a bit more of a proactive effort to show people, behind the scenes of what it takes to build one of the biggest brands in the UK right now, and that's an exciting one. My next question for you both is the biggest lessons and failures since starting the business? Would you have the same, or is there differences?
Ooh, lessons and failure. It's always a hard question, this. Always a hard question. Because we fail with things all the time. It just doesn't get shown as much as the wins, really. Like, you're not putting your failures all over YouTube. And lessons as well, like that period of time that we keep speaking about, that was a huge lesson for us that completely changed our lives. Other lessons, what would you say? What have you got?
For me, like, don't try and be anybody else. Don't try and be something that you're not. Lean into what you're good at and what you stays true to you, and then just play on that.
Yeah.
Don't be worried about.
You can see Mike's personality through the brand, and although you don't see his personality through Instagram like you do with someone like me or you. Like, I can see his personality as soon as I go on the website. Like, you know where his inspirations come from, you know what his upbringing was like, you know what he's into and what he's not into. So, like, having your own personal touch and, like, what you actually love within your brand I think that's what it's about. Same with you.
Yeah, I wish I'd done that earlier.
Wish we'd done what?
Just had more of a personal touch on it and trusted what I was into.
Yeah, not chasing trends and trying to do things because people...
Which is where you ended up in 2018, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Right. Yeah, sick. What's the vision for the business? And have you always both been aligned on that? I know you kind of started helping George out, make his clothes look nicer, momentum's built. 2018, you were in the room, you whiteboarding some stuff. I'm sure the vision was reset in 2018, 2019 when you had that poor year. Have you both always been aligned on that?
Yeah, 100%. I think I usually push with that kind of thing, and we'll always start it off, but we're always aligned with everything we do. Like, we're 50-50 on everything, whether it's represent, whether it's a new business, whether it's whatever. Like, we're in it together. And Mike is very giving in the sense of he'll let me take control of that, where we want to go with it, who we want to be, where we want to be shown up, like where we want to open stores, all that kind of stuff. Like, Mike lets me do that, which is great.
Because I think at the end of the day, we both want the same outcome. We both want the best result.
Yeah, and we both want to enjoy what we're doing, and we're enjoying it. So there's no...
Yeah, I mean, my experience of, like, I guess a business partner is most prudent with someone like Jen's. I think when you find a good business partner where you both know each other's strengths and you kind of just leave each other to do what you're good at.
Yeah.
And then calling each other when you need it.
You know what's funny? Like, so many people message me like, oh, what's it going to be like you moving to LA and not being with Mike? But like you just said then, you know exactly what they do and what they're good at, and you just leave them to it, and it's amazing.
Yeah. How do you manage? So let's talk about the 247 stuff for a second, because that's where kind of I came into the brand with the collaboration, which is, I want to just touch on. But the 247 pan, I remember the campaign, you two were running through, like, it looked like through the fucking lakes or something.
Yeah.
You come up with this pan that can be used out on the streets, in the gym, when you're at home, in the office, like it's this cool pan, and you create a campaign around you two running through the hills. And that was the birth of 247. Again, I think you designed it and built it for what you guys were looking for at the time.
Right.
Did you think we're going to start a fitness brand at this stage? Or at that stage, was it just a pant?
It was just a pant. We'd only just got back into fitness, really, hadn't we? Like, it was 2020, we were in lockdown, we were going up hiking where we did that video every single morning, and then we'd left some fucking terrible dumbbells in my dad's garage, and we was just like, let's fucking make this pant that's going to work for everything. Shot that campaign, and then it was like, after it had done really well for a few months, we were like, what do we do next for 247? We can't just leave it as a pant. Like, it's got so much traction and everyone's fucking wearing this pant. Like, what do we build it into? And our love for fitness just started evolving, and I was posting more on socials and people were getting inspired by it. And then, like, I was realizing that we were going to the gym and we were wearing the 247 pant, but we'd wear like these Nike tees that just didn't fit as well or didn't look like rep. And it was like, okay, if we can transfer the DNA from what Represent is into gym wear and running wear and stuff like that, then let's just try it and see if it works. And that's kind of what birthed that whole arm of the brand.
How did you think about managing the growth of 247 alongside A-Line?
It's still a problem now. It's still such a small, it's got not much resource because Represent is growing at such a rate. Like, 247 is a back burner thing that, like, we don't put a lot of work into still. But we're constantly trying to hire and trying to build that team out. I just want to make sure it's the right people that come on board to really build what 247 is, because it could easily get lost and become its own brand, and not look the way we want it to look. So it's about maintaining, like you said earlier, the meticulousness within the image of the brand and how it's perceived, but also still trying to grow it as its own like athletics department.
Have you found that, because you're the face probably of 247, I think it's probably fair to say.
Well, I'd say there's a full team of us.
No, in terms of, you are the athlete, right? Like you're the muse. I think when people are looking in and want to buy 247, it's because like George Heaton reps it.
Yeah.
I'm speaking from experience as well. I'm like, George makes that look cool.
Makes it look cool, yeah. Maybe not the athlete.
How does that impact you being able to make mainline represent cool? That's not a loaded question because I think you managed both really well.
I think it does take my time away from represent, but also like there is people that have been put in positions in the brand that can hold where I've taken my time away. And also like 247 is not just about the clothes, it's more about like the lifestyle and the inspiration and how we engage with the community and the customer. And I think that just plays its part as represent anyway. We see it as a funnel. So there's like, here's represent, here's the consumer. 247 is this funnel where if that consumer that already buys represent wants to get into fitness, they can come in through 247 funnel, feel like a part of it, feel like part of a community, and not feel like, oh, CrossFit is fucking very
too much of a click and involved in
it. Yeah, or this running thing is very cultish, and like they can come through this channel where like I'm not an athlete, and some of the guys that we sponsor,
You're an athlete.
Well, not on paper, but like
anyone that works out with you will know.
What was that high rocks time?
He's an athlete. Yeah, I mean, he runs a 53-minute high rocks.
But yeah,
smokes most people in most workouts.
But it's like if I can do that and show that through my socials, which is what I want to do anyway, and it's not much effort for me other than over what I'm doing anyway, then other people can join in, other people can do that. So I see it as a funnel rather than a selling tool.
Yeah. I think you referenced there the connection to the community, and one of the ways in which you've done that very well is through collaborations. Mm-hmm. I think you're about 15 months into the 247 journey when we first, or a year in when we first had the conversation. I've spoken about this before, but I remember being, shocked, but also very happy. You coming to me and going, should we do this collab? You came down to this office. We put on a little presentation. I don't think we truly knew kind of your intentions of coming down here and what it would materialize to. Obviously, I look at you, G, and the brand in which you've built with Represent and find it incredibly inspiring. And also then your journey into fitness and kind of how far you've pushed that. And I think you were looking at us and the journey of Marchon and what we stood for within fitness and probably felt the same. So that collaboration happened. And I know that, since then we've recently done one with Flannels and Pure Sport, and you've done ones with, you've done other collaborations that, in that time, Humantra being one with the electrolytes, and I know you're going to do more. So, you guys are truly great at what you do, and you're incredibly authentic. And I think because you know that so long as you two keep your passion for what you're doing, you're almost impenetrable. Therefore, going to other brands and approaching them and collaborating, you don't see it as competition, even if they've got sometimes products in the same space, or maybe trying to get into the same space, whatever it may be. Coming from a place of like an abundant mindset, it's not scarcity. We can all win. There's plenty of food on the table.
As well, we can bring our communities together. And like, for me, especially with you doing that as like our first 247 collaboration, like I've been watching you for years. I'm following your program, and like if I can find who is the best at what they do in their industries, and I can collaborate with them, and it's not just about making fucking clothes. It's about your community and my community, and like bringing them together, sharing the same vision, and understanding that what we're all trying to do is the same thing. It's not just about selling them a fucking t-shirt. Like you're doing these activations where you've got actual workouts going on all over the country. And like, if we can be involved with that, like the guys that show up in 247 Marchon collabs, like everyone was in them. Like that's what it's about, right? It's about bringing what we're good at and what you're good at together, and just letting people thrive with that.
So collaborations say a huge impact on our business from doing it with you guys. Is it something that, when can it be done too many times? How many collaborations do you think is right for a business, and when is it overplaying it? When's the right time to do it?
I think it can be done as many times as you want, as long as it's authentic. I will never collaborate with someone that's not authentic, or not something that we love, not something that we use. We don't use much other than our brand, so it's hard to collaborate with things and other brands. And obviously we turn down a lot of shit because it doesn't actually make sense to us. But like, look, I was using your program for years. I've followed you, massively inspired by you, all the team you built, everything you've got going on here. So I want to collab with that. That makes sense. Same with Humantra. Like, I was using their salts for so long, and we did our own flavor because of mango and what it means and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, if we can find the right partners through what we're clearly into, then it makes sense to the consumer. It doesn't seem like, oh, they're just trying to money grab, or they're just designing with this fucking $5 billion sportswear brand just because they know they can get more eyes on the brand. And it's the same with Mike. Like, if you go on the website and go on the main line, the only collaborations you see on there are like Mike's favorite bands, what he grew up listening to. And like, you can see the level of detail and effort that you've put into making them things work. And I know like a Boohoo can come in and collaborate with a Guns N' Roses, and it's just being a Guns N' Roses tee slapped on a fucking print and done. But like, if you look into the t-shirts and look into the design of what he's doing, there is fucking hundreds of hours of like, even the distressing details and the way that the represents put with the Metallica font and stuff like that. Like, it's so authentic and so personal. And like, I enjoy doing the things with 247. You enjoy doing them collabs.
You say Metallica then?
Oops.
Yeah,
but you get it.
Not to,
Yeah.
Soon anyway. No, I think it's the same for me as it is for you guys. Like, when I get DMs about customers who have bought the stuff and they didn't even know who like a Motley Crue was, well, then they listen to it and they love it. I think it's the same kind of feeling for when you guys come together and it's like, oh, so, I've never drinking.
You're getting people into new things.
Yeah, like, or, like the supplements or the lifting or the running. Like, it's the same kind of thing. Like, it's just bringing two worlds together.
And how do you do that? I know obviously how me and G came about. How do you do that with some of those big bands and things? Is it the same thing? Is it reaching out to them? Are they reaching out to you?
I think,
do they have much influence on the creative process?
Oh, it first happened, I think they reached out to us because they saw what we were putting out, and it was very much like what, t-shirts back then looked like. Because we used to go shopping in LA, didn't we? Ages ago, like trying to find the best vintage tees, and we used to pick out these ones, and like now when they approach us, we've got a chance to actually make that t-shirt again and bring that to life. Which is it's just that feeling of it coming full circle. It's just sick, innit?
Yeah. And you're the best at that. Like, there's no other brand that can get them collaborations with them bands that do it like that, I don't think.
Yeah. Because like George said, you typically just get like a merch printing deal where the only thing that you can change is the neck label.
Yeah. And you've got license to do whatever you want.
You do whatever you want, yeah. Because they know they're going to get it to that level of degree. And also like they get something from us as well, don't we? It is like a 50-50. Like the Motley Crue stuff, we brought everyone together in the Viper Room, which is like, where them bands first became famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that in LA?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Sunset Strip, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard you say before you used to go shopping in LA in like the thrift shops, is that?
Thrift shops, yeah.
Did you ever think that like that were you doing it to influence what you were going to do with the clothes, or were you just doing it because that's where you knew you'd find the t-shirts that you guys enjoy?
We weren't even doing it to influence the clothes. We were just doing it because we loved the t-shirts and the fit of them and the wash of them. And then when we switched everything over to Portugal, we found that, they had these huge wash houses that could actually replicate the wash
40-year-old t-shirt, yeah.
And all the distressing and everything like that. And then it was like, should I take from this graphically what I think is cool and then make a represent tee, or are people going to think that's too rock and roll, that, like skulls and reapers on things, are they going to be put off by it? And that was a big risk.
Huge, yeah, like
huge risk.
If you think about the juxtaposition of what represent does, like on one Wednesday we could be dropping skulls and daggers on vintage t-shirts, and the next Wednesday we're dropping skins to go running in. It's crazy that you can do that within the same brand, but it just shows that like,
so versatile.
Yeah, it's so versatile, and there's a consumer there that's buying both, or there's a consumer there that's buying one over the other, but they're there.
I'm that consumer, and my wife is too. I mean, I know whenever you do drops, Loz is like, can we get the graphic tees? She loves them.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit, G, about your learned behavior, because I think there's a lot of people that both follow yourself and myself for the fitness component, right? And it's interesting to hear that you were at school, you were the person that had to win the races, because I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
So it's clearly been there for a long time.
It was just held off for a while as well.
Yeah, because I mean, the physical transformation as well as the kind of mental transformation you've gone through, and your relationship with fitness is clearly evolved. Is there any, I know you've referenced podcasts and books and things, that obviously helps and gets you started, but then it's a case of just fucking setting the alarm and getting out and doing it.
Right.
Is there any other nuggets for people in terms of how you've become the person you are today? And you play down your athleticism. Like I've trained with you, I've raced with you, I've competed. Well, we're both probably subconsciously competing with each other. Yeah, you're the real deal when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And you do train a lot, right? You're in the gym twice a day, 5-6 days a week. So it's fair to say you've put your time in to get to where you are today with that. But is there any nuggets for people that, for someone that doesn't come from as a fitness professional or personal trainer, that you found work?
I think the first things I did was looked at who I was around and who I'm following and completely stripped it back. Anything that wasn't going to serve me in that realm of learning or fitness or fashion, gone. Get rid of that shit. Even if it's your friend that's going to DM you and say, why have you unfollowed me? Like, I don't want to see it. I want to go on my phone when I wake up every morning. I want to see Ollie Marchon back squatting 200 kg. I don't want to see
that one day too.
I don't want to see someone fucking having a pint from the night before. Like, I want things that are going to motivate me. Same with the books. Like, I would read Matt Fraser's book. I would read Tim Grover's, who's the coach of Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. I would read all these different books that, okay, yeah, they're very fitness influenced, but that pays such a fucking big dividend in business. It's all the same thing. The athletes now are the CEOs, and the CEOs now are the athletes. Like, look at the guys like Michael Murray. Like, guys running fucking billion-dollar companies and racing us at High Rocks. Like, there's such a crossover between the disciplines and the routines and everything you do within fitness, nutrition, all that stuff that pays dividends in business. So I kind of just married the two together and spent a lot of my free time just reading, writing, researching, meeting these kind of people, like putting myself in the room with you. Like, if I can build a team, if you look at 247 on the account, who I'm following on that account is who I sponsor as an athlete for 247, or who I like want to be involved with and see such like information and greatness and athleticism in those people. So if I can be around them, I'm learning. I'm constantly learning. If I can go to Miami with you for a few days and you can teach me how to fucking lift weights better or run faster or whatever, like, that for me is fucking amazing. That's like having a mentor, right? So you're just basically putting yourself into a space where everything is learning. And I spent probably 4 or 5 years doing that. I've not just done that overnight.
How do you stay, everyone throws around the word motivated, but there's times where I've let standards slip.
Right.
For myself, if I'm traveling, for example, or I've had a tough day, and I'll flick onto yours and like the standards don't slip. And I'm talking about the little bits of detail, like you've got off a flight, you'll get the training session in, but you will still get the 30-minute sauna and the 5-minute ice bath, which they're the 1% that probably you're not going to really see the benefit of, and that if you just miss that one. But it's almost, there's no negotiating with your routine.
No.
Where's that from?
Just having that back against the wall and feeling like someone's always going to take it off you. Feel like I will wake up and I'm like that every single day.
You know, it goes.
No, I don't think it ever goes. I listen to guys that are 20, 30 years into the industry, like the Ed Milets and the Andy Fritzellas. That never goes. They still wake up scared every day. They're running billion-dollar companies, look amazing and doing all the right shit. And I'm happy with that never going, because that's what wakes me up. That's what fuels my fire. But like, there's two parts to it. There's that. There's the stress of like what could happen. And then there's also like the motivation that I wake up to 100 DMs every day of guys that have massively influenced by 247, or they just bought a t-shirt and they can't believe the quality of it. And that like pumps me up. I'm like, wake up, I'm like, fuck, we're onto something. Every single day I think, shit, we're doing something right here.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, when I do flick onto yours and I see that, for me, it resets me and goes, no, that's not the standards that you set yourself.
Right.
And it will happen infrequently, but you referenced there, like guarding the inputs so that the things that you're consuming are in line with what you're trying to become. And for me, you know, if I look at my stories on the top, you're always in that first bit, probably because of the algorithms, but it's that level of relentlessness and consistency that even for me, as someone who's like been born and brought up through the fitness space, you know, needs to see that, because when I do see it, I'm like, right, that doesn't happen again.
I feel like also it's like my duty to do that for my brother, for my family, for my fucking team. Like, I've got to be there. I've got to show up, and I've got to put full effort in, or else why would they? I wouldn't put 100% in if my boss wasn't putting 100% in. You know what I mean? So I feel like I need to be at the pinnacle of doing that just to like have that ripple effect across a business. And we can see it now. Like we have a business full of savages that are training, that are fucking running, that are eating well, that are in there in the mornings at 6 a.m, that don't leave till 7 p.m. I left last night. There's a fucking still full car park at 7 p.m. They have no reason to be doing that. Like they could have clocked off 2 hours ago and they're still in there from 6 a.m.
But it's like it does come from, you know, seeing us first in, last out type deal. They know
it's the ripple effect.
Yeah,
it's culture, isn't it? It's a culture.
It is, yeah.
It's yourself. What constitutes a rest day for you, or a down day? Is there any of that? Is there any sort of
No, and I know we got asked about that flannels thing, about the guy with the stillness thing, and I've been thinking about it since then. But I don't really tend to rest. I don't need to. I feel like I took a little bit of time off between Christmas and New Year, which, because over the past few years I'd never done, and I hated it because I'd just be on my own, like fucking getting annoyed because I don't know what I'm doing.
I was going to ask, like, are you scared of a rest day? Like, does it scare you or not?
It doesn't scare me. I just love what I'm doing, so like I have the energy to do it every day. And that's another thing. Like I always think about it. Like when that guy asked us at the flannels interview, like, we seem to be performing at this level where it's fucking uncomparable to other people, but it's not. It's just because we've done it for so long and because we're so into it, and we can delegate other jobs. And you, like, even with yourself, like, we've got other people that are doing the things that we were doing a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when you were very stressed and there's a big weight on your shoulder and you're trying to do everything in the business. But now I've got the time to actually decide what I want to do and look at it from a different viewpoint. I don't need time off as such. Well, I don't think I do anyway. And you're the exact same. He works longer than me, way longer hours than me. I look like I work a lot on Instagram because of what I do, but he's in there until I've gone to bed before he even gets home every single fucking night.
Yeah, I think I've gone through burnouts and just worked through them to now where it isn't a thing. I don't know how. I don't know how that happens.
Because you enjoy it, I think.
Yeah. Well, because I'm still passionate about it.
How do you manage fitness alongside it? Because you're in the gym every morning as well. Fitness obviously to you means something very different to George, I think. I'm sure for all three of us it's around image and feeling good and, you know, wanting to look good. How many times are you in the gym a week, Mike, and what does fitness, what purpose does it serve for you?
So I'll be in there 6 days a week. I do have one rest day. But we have the classes.
Slacker.
We have the classes now that Jake and Emily teach. So, and I love them. I'm not just showing face, you know, because I'm one of the owners and feel like I should be there. Like, I actually genuinely do love it. And obviously you get all the benefits, you know, being healthier, never ill, are we?
You're never sick.
Never sick. And obviously it makes you look good as well. Not as good as you two. Yeah.
But it builds confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It loves everything.
What do you do on a rest day?
Films or,
No work?
No. I'll try and get inspired by something.
So it is work.
He is.
Yeah, whenever he's watching something, it's usually like a vintage rock like movie or it's an Oasis documentary, and I always get a picture of something like, should we do something like this?
It's funny, right? Because obviously being around Sam and John, who are, you know, very creative people, particularly with design as well, they'll often reference the need to just sit and be still and just have time to think. Whereas if I have too much time to think, I drive myself fucking wild.
We're the same.
Yeah, so this is this is the scared thing that I was asking. Like, so if you have a rest day, do you find yourself just losing your mind, thinking this could all just fall?
Yeah, I think
I'd like into something that.
I think probably, and it's probably the same for George. And I remember the question that was asked at Flannels around stillness. I think if I blocked in deliberate times of stillness and thinking time, it would be counterproductive. I think if the ability to just auto-regulate and know when I need to put my foot on the brakes a little bit has helped me. Now that might change, right? That might change at different stages of my life. But if I try to put in blocks of time where I'm just there with my own thoughts, I think I drive myself crazy. Between Christmas and New Year, I too took some time not to do much. Didn't set my alarm. Woke up at normal times, and after a few days of it, I just didn't feel right.
Yeah, that's
and I think that's really important for people, just to know, like, what are the experiences that have got you to where you are to influence the decisions that you're trying to make. And then when you make those decisions and you try something, like, is it actually serving you, or are you doing it because someone else said you should practice gratitude, or you should practice stillness, or you should go to the gym every day? Like, whatever those things are, sort of self-audit and make sure that it is in line with what you're trying to achieve.
So you're treating it as like when your body needs sleep.
Yeah, I'm very, like George though, I'm very protective of my sleep. Like, I'll work as hard as I can, but I'll know that it gets towards a certain time that I'm no good for anyone. Like, to the point where sometimes I'll go to bed before my kids. Yeah. And like, I'm not saying this is a good thing to do, but I'll just down tools, literally. Like, if I finished eating, I'll just put the plate down, take my clothes off where I stand, and just go to my bed and put my head in the pillow, because I just can't. I can't
function.
Yeah,
I'm the same.
I don't know whether it's because I'm up so early and just the adenosine is so high. I'm ready for bed. My eyes are kind of they're closing. So
I think you have times though when, like, I'll come in Mike's studio and, like, they'll be him and the graphic designers will be chatting about one design for 4 hours, just talking, just like thinking about stuff. Like, that for me is like, that sounds amazing. I'd love to do that, but I couldn't.
Yeah, if I sit in a meeting and I can feel myself just switching off.
10 minutes, it's like gone.
Yeah, but I think that's because, like, I'm passionate about that one thing that we're talking about, and it isn't just because I do get bored in meetings as well. I do switch off, and you get tired, don't you, after like a 30 minutes or an hour or whatever in the meetings. But when it's like design related stuff, it's like a hobby of mine. It's like me saying to you, like, if you were going and go and do a workout now for 2 hours, would you get bored and down tools halfway through?
No, it's not.
Yeah, same thing, I guess. Yeah.
So fitness being a big part of both your lives, and that, I think that's what you've created with the 247 gym at the office is it's goals. I think for any of us looking to build a business and having a physical place of work and be able to give your employees and team that outlet to go and train. The accessibility, we spoke about this at Flannels as well, the access that you've given to people and the accountability of the team all doing it with Jake and Emily as coaches is power. From a fitness standpoint, I think we've got it boxed off. From a nutrition standpoint, are you similar with what you eat? I know you used to live together, and I remember you used to cook each other steak in the evening and that kind of thing. It's probably higher on your list of priorities, George. But that being said, having spent a week with you, it's very evident that when you need to dial in, you'll dial in. Yeah, for your cover shoot. But most of the time you're very active, and you actually eat really flexibly. I think we probably ate, cakes and sweets and treats every day.
I had come off a fucking 6-week like painful pursuit though, so I needed it a bit. But yeah, I make sure with nutrition, I'm always conscious of it. Like, and 90% of the time, it's the exact same diet, same food. And you're literally the same.
Yeah, I think
Mike doesn't.
Yeah, us living together for so long, it has
creates habits, doesn't it?
Yeah, created a habit of just clean eating and not because we have to, just because I think like it's good food, isn't it?
You realise you're putting the right things in your body.
Yeah, like you don't feel crap after it if you eat clean. So
some people never understand that, and I still try and get it into people's heads today that what you put in your body is what you're going to get for an outcome. So like you don't need to terrible stuff.
I'm not fussy about food, am I? Like,
no, we're the opposite in that way though as well, because like I grew up fucking overweight. Like all of my late teens, early 20s, I was fat, like really overweight.
How heavy?
Got to like, I think I was about 16 stone.
Really?
Yeah.
What age? Like
18 to 25, 24, 23.
How? Why?
Just fucking too much eating. Like the guy that I'd train with was a fucking huge eater, and I would eat what he ate and not train like he trained. And I was like around fucking rugby players and stuff that were just fucking slamming Nando's for lunch, dinner, everything. Like,
how I first met you actually was with Josh Chandler.
Yeah, Chandler would take me to Nando's twice a day, every single day, and we would eat everything.
You was a deep boy, weren't you?
And that guy was training 3 times a day, so it's fine for him. I wasn't. I'd randomly do a chest session. So yeah, I struggled with it for a while, and then once I started researching and understanding different foods and like learning my body, I'd get into it. But I'm still learning about it today. Like I still know that I'm not eating the right amount of carbs for how I'm training, and like I like to up and down things and test things out. But I'm always like, I love food. I'm always hungry. I've still got that fat kid in me, like forever. So I'm thinking about food right now. Whereas you're the opposite.
Yeah, but
doesn't need to eat.
Does that fat kid scare you though into not eating shit?
I guess so. Yeah.
You're very much like me in the sense that, like, we're never not going to be in shape, but I think
Right.
a lot of the sort of notoriety and success that we've had in more recent years have been because of the image and the look and what our body, not necessarily how our bodies look, but also what our bodies can do. And the two go hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
If you're eating really well and you're training really hard and you've got your routines right around sleep and recovery, then you're going to operate at a very high level. You're going to be able to get the 1 or 2 training sessions in. If someone says, let's go and do this fitness pursuit,
Yeah.
you'll be able to do it, but you're also going to look really good too.
Exactly.
So I think, going back to that 16-stone kid, whilst you're banging away food because it was functional for those rugby boys to go and do it, right now it's not. It's not in line with anything you're trying to achieve from a fit perspective for the 247 looks, the mainline looks, or even just your own goals.
Yeah. So having that, like the aesthetics always has to be there, and it can't just go straight into a sport where it gets rid of the aesthetics or it does something to my body where I'm going to be a lot bigger or I'm going to be a lot smaller. Like I still need to maintain like a certain level of weight and look and stuff like that just for the brand image, I think.
And I think it's the same for you, isn't it? Like you wouldn't want to do, because when we were in Miami, the rate at which you were doing a workout and then Sam was getting the content, you wouldn't want to be sitting there going through half of them photos thinking, I can't post this.
Yeah, you want to be
in shape. You need to be like...
And it's sometimes a little bit, it's a fickle industry, right? And the looks it's the first thing people see, and that first impression is a really important one. And I sometimes think, am I going to get to an age where it becomes less important? But when I think about when I feel my best, it's often when I feel as though I look my best, and that's it's subjective, like whether you look good, right? You might have a different opinion of yourself than someone else. As long as I feel like I look good, that's when I'm walking around, I'm operating
You'll
at
feel
place
good as well.
when I'm on a high frequency.
Yeah.
But like I said, it was I felt, I know you come off the back of a 6-week shred, but I felt as though your kind of routines and habits around nutrition were actually there was deliberate intent with protein and to be conscious of what you're eating. But I actually thought you ate quite freely in terms of the foods.
Yeah.
Just monitor portion sizes and when you're doing it.
Yeah, definitely. And as well, like, it's one of them things that I'm just constantly conscious about. And I know, like, and I'm sitting next to you, like I'm watching what you're eating and I'm knowing like, okay, I don't need to eat this, I don't need to touch that. Like, okay, I'll increase that a little bit. And then also knowing that we're working out 3 fucking times a day. Like I need that food or else I'm going to die.
I think it's that level of, and I've referenced this before for people, it's that level of consciousness and awareness of everything you're doing, whether it is your training, the time you're waking up, your habits at work, your working environment, what you're going to eat. The highest performers I know have got a level of awareness and a conscious on all of those things and creating order around all of those things rather than just 1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
It's the same with you. It's the same with a lot of people that I know of or look up to that are constantly on this high frequency. It's order and awareness around a number of things.
And being ready, like just like building your ecosystem around that. Like the gym is here. We know that M&S is here. You're going to cook at this time. You're going to eat at this time. You're going to be training at this time. Like you minimize all them lengths of time where something could go wrong or something can't happen.
And that's why you're getting a month's worth of work done in a week.
Yeah. It's optimized
as well. Like, for the people that haven't got that dialed in, the awareness, and where everything's situated, saving you time and stuff like that. That's why a lot of people think there must be some secret sauce to it, but there isn't. You just got to be disciplined, haven't you, and have it dialed in.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about the future of Rep and where you're going with it. The exciting revelations on store rollouts. I know you've been over in LA working to get that one open.
Yep.
I don't know whether we can say about what's happening closer to in the UK with it or not, but so what does the future hold for the brand? It's like I said, for myself, building my brand, for a lot of people following this, it's incredibly inspiring, not just how you are as an athlete and and what you've been creating, from the consistency of great quality garments and the graphics and the designs and everything else, but the brand has got still so much room to improve and grow. What does the next 12 months look like? Or
12 months is great. I hate it when people ask 2-5 years or whatever like that. Like, you don't know what the future holds. The next 12
I love the fact that you're like that too, because when people ask me what's the 5-10 year plan, I'm like, I fucking don't even know what we're doing tomorrow.
Yeah, not a clue. We didn't know in 2020, we didn't know we'd be sat right here now. nearly 4 years later, and the brand be 10 times the size of what it was. So like I don't think you need to just have that huge end goal plan in mind.
I think for people that are building businesses to sell, right?
Right. They do.
Or it's
but 99% of the time that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like they just think in a fucking fairy tale. But for me, it's like I'll write down my personal and my business goals at the start of every year, and then it's not a big list. It's like 10 things maximum. As long as I hit all them 10 things, like I'll put that out to the leadership team and I'll say these are my goals.
You share that with everyone.
Yeah. Leadership team, no one else. Spenny will take that away, who's the CEO, and he'll like.
You share personal goals as well.
Yeah.
I like that
because it's only a team of a few people, so it's like, and I want them to know what I want to do and what I want to achieve and what the business wants to achieve. And Spenny will take that away and he'll dissect it and he'll put things into play where we're gonna make that happen within the business. And like we grew so much over the past 2 years, like scary amounts where most brands would never be able to cope with the growth and without throwing so much money at it and doing too much things. But we've managed to remain really profitable, grow at like an 83% growth rate. So this year it's more about like, okay, let's settle in more. Let's try and build the fundamentals underneath us. So if anything happens where it's a huge growth rate or we conquer another territory, like we have the ability to just press go on it. And at the same time now it's about opening physical stores. Like we've been going for so long now that we owe it to our customer to be able to come in, smell the brand, touch the brand, speak with us, deal with us, and like do things from them stores rather than us just popping up every now and then in a 2-day Manchester event or a run club or a Selfridges meet and greet. Like it's now like time to get really physical with it. So first 3 stores will roll out this year, maybe 4, but 3 confirmed. And then we'll take it from there in terms of like actual physical locations.
Do you share your goals, the leadership team?
I will be doing, yeah. I think we share your first year, right?
Is it?
Yeah. I think mine's going to be more like...
Does it scare you when you see his goals?
No, because I'm so used to them happening now. Like, I look at them and...
They're going to happen anyway. You got to make them happen. That's why you write them down, right?
Well, I remember you sharing, I think you shared the diary that you put him in the sort of ticks next to them. I think you missed maybe one of the ticks that you put.
Always miss a few.
But that's in work, isn't it? Like, people don't know, but that's really getting achieved.
Yeah, well, I think the point I want to make is not that you missed one. It's more that like that habit or just that process of writing them down in a fucking paperback book and going, this is my North Star for the year, sharing that with people that you're going to need their support in some way, right? Because you're not going to be able to do all those things by yourself, particularly if it relates to business.
Yeah.
So sharing that with the senior leadership team I've never done that. I never thought to, but it's something that I think I actually realized that being out in Miami again, just seeing how you guys operate and now the scale of the business that you guys are at, to the point where like you have to be taken out of the weeds and the day-to-day stuff of operationally. There's this almost like protection that's put around you, George.
Yeah, I know.
Deliberately to make sure that you can probably do those 5 things personally and do those 5 things or do your roles to allow those 5 business goals to happen.
Yeah.
And the rest of it you just be kept out of.
It's weird, isn't it? And I've never asked for that, but it's like this halo effect that's happened. I think it's Spenny that does it. Without
it's certainly it's certainly something that's conscious at you.
Yeah, but it's not conscious to me. I didn't notice it until a few months ago when I'm like, actually, all this shit is getting done and no one's coming to me to ask any of these questions because they know that like they're trying to protect me from it. And it's an amazing thing.
It's incredible, and I was really inspired by it. And actually, the last 12 months for our business, we were working with sort of an outside influence from a consultant standpoint to try and help us operate a little bit better. And he was very much doing the same thing. It's like take OM and put him over there and stop getting involved in all that stuff. And often I would retract back to where I felt comfortable, and I'd try and get more involved.
Yeah.
So I think it's a process, right? And the more we kind of go through that journey, the more I'll be put out to one side. But your John actually said to me yesterday at the airport, he's like, it's great that you were in Miami because you could keep George occupied when things like the clothes didn't turn up on time and DHL were fucking around. So it's cool because you realize that when a business gets to a certain level, people need to have clearly defined roles and responsibilities, and the ability for like someone like you who's this talisman to have that space from the day to day so that you can operate.
Yeah. That's like an amazing thing that wanted to happen for the past few years, especially saying I wanted to move to LA. Like that was the major thing that would make me move to LA when I got into that space. And it is funny because like when we were sat in that car and you were like, what are you going to do about the stock? And I'm like,
I didn't want to say it, but I physically was getting fucking
I was
getting stressed out.
But I've been through that for so many years, and like, and Mike's seen me like fucking fuming all the time. Like I was an angry guy for so many years in this business, but when you realize like you can't physically control it, and there is someone in a position in the business that is better than you at doing it, leave it to them.
Yeah,
leave it to you. Can't control the outcome.
I was going to say it was right after you asked the question, weren't it? On that day, I remember he was like, "What does a successful day look like for you tomorrow?" And I think someone said, "Yeah, the start's not right."
Well, Sam said to me, he was like, "Fuck, if this was you, you'd be fucking.
Yeah.
It'd be horrible to be
There'd
around."
be like holes through walls.
But I think it's just, I think it's obviously a level of maturity that you've gained from being around it and knowing that it's taken care of by someone in the team.
Yeah.
What gets you fired up, Mike? Because you're pretty mellow. Is there anything that upsets you or gets you a little bit more emotional?
I'm trying to find this out as well. I want to know this.
In terms of the business,
Anything.
What gets you going? What is the catalyst to create something sick? Sometimes, I guess.
I think for me, it's been going out and seeing people in it and being like, because that feeling for me never goes away.
Right. Yeah.
Never. You know, like people say like, oh, you've had everyone in it now, rappers, this, that. You know,
Literally everyone
in it. Like, how does that feel? It still feels like day one. Like when I get out of the house, drive down the road, if I see someone in it, like we've been to, how far out have we been? We've been to
That story got to be the
Maldivian islands, and people have been in wearing rep, and it's just like, how did it get here?
And it's still a small brand in terms of like powerhouses.
And that I think
Which is crazy.
that fuels me. That powers me on to be like, right, I've got to design something that now, because I've seen it. I've seen that many people wear it, and now that that's a possibility, whatever I do has got to be
Good enough for that.
good enough.
Yeah.
For that, yeah.
Is there anything that makes you upset? In business?
Doing podcasts.
Not anymore.
But yeah, I respect you a lot.
No, I don't think things make him upset. I think it's hard to get him over the line of doing something that's outside of your comfort zone, that's outside of just designing.
And I think that's just come from being so like almost institutionalized, you know, by my own
years. Yeah.
Thinking like, you know, there's all this to do. Like we've got 4 collections, God knows how many collaborations, footwear, this, that, the other. Like
That's what plays on your mind a lot.
Yeah.
That like you've got to get things done all the time.
and I've not really been able to have like a more of a helicopter view on what I'm doing. It's more just like
You're in the weeds.
like, in the weeds, yeah.
I mean, you have a very calming influence on people.
Yeah.
Like being with you for, I think Sam kind of echoed it, like being around you for sort of 4 or 5 days, like there's this like just calming element to you,
Yeah.
which I think is really that juxtaposition between the two of you, because you're not that you're not calming, but you'll go, and you're kind of like just chill.
It winds you up though.
No, it doesn't at all.
You're like being around someone that's too chilled.
Yeah, but I know you're in your own head as well.
Yeah.
You're always thinking about it.
It's nice to be around. Like,
Yeah.
I'm someone that is go, but then when you're around someone that's just chilled and mellow, it's nice to be around. It's like I say, it's different because I'm always probably on edge, or I don't mean that in a negative way, but I'm like, okay, what's going on next? We need to rush to this next thing, like it's the time. Whereas you're just a little bit more laissez-faire and laid back. I thought it was cool to be around.
Yeah, it's cool sometimes, not when you've got to get a flight and you don't know what
you miss the fucking connection.
Yeah.
I mean, that is literally so stereotypical of you two. Got to get a connecting flight from Heathrow to Manchester. You rush to get on a train and you just miss it.
It as well, like this train door. We were on the train and he jumps out to have a look at the screen. So I followed him and then he got back on.
I was there. Dude, him and Harry literally they stepped off the train. I ran over to the sign. I was like, right, we're in gates A. Jump back on the fucking train. A is the next stop. I ran back on the train like at the front of it. These just got off the back. And he didn't get back on.
He was that quick. I mean, it's where the
That's where the running comes in. Hey, you start running.
When you missed the train and you're going to miss your flight, were you bothered?
I would be losing my mind.
So I would be bothered if I got to the desk and they were like, "Does the next flight's in 6 hours or whatever?" But it was in like half an hour. So there's that many flights, London to Manchester.
See, this happened to me last time when I came back from LA, and I missed the Manchester flight because the LA flight was delayed 2 hours. I just got in a taxi.
Yeah,
I know.
I'll do the same.
0.4 hour taxi.
I'd do the same.
Yeah.
I'd need a solution right there and then.
Yeah.
And even the solution was going to take me longer to get back.
Yeah.
I need to know that.
That's what happened to me.
I need to know that I've taken the first step in going home.
Yeah.
Chill out, man.
That's fuck, I do.
Yeah. I remember my mum rang me and she was like, "Oh, we're having tea at mine. Do you remember?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'll be home for 7. Flight lands at 6. So take my case home, go to my mum's." Flight landed, missed the fucking connecting flight. I'm like, I need to go to my mum's for tea. Get a car.
Get there and nothing.
Yeah.
I've got final 2 questions for you. G, I want to know a little bit more about competing and fitness for you. If you could, like if talent and time allowed you, how far would you push being an athlete?
Oh, that's a hard one. The reason I do it now is because I hate it. Like, I fully hate competing.
Do you?
Yes. I really hate it, but that's what I love to do. I love to do things that I hate because after it, I feel amazing. I know, like, physically, I'm not an athlete. I'm not at the level of a Hunter McIntyre or an Ollie Marchon or a Jake Dearden. But if I can surround myself with those people and I can perform 90% of what they can do, maybe 80%, whatever, if I can hang on to the back of them, like, that helps me build my brand and build the worth of what Represent is and who George Heaton is. If I didn't have Represent, would I have gone into something like that? Maybe, I don't know. Like, if I would have spent 5 years in my teens doing CrossFit, maybe I could have got to the CrossFit Games. I don't know. Like, it's too late now to even think about that. But yeah, I hate it, and that's why I do it.
I didn't realize you hated that much. I remember the first NFG you did. I remember you looking like a bit of a rabbit in the headlights, and you rocked up like, what the fuck?
That was the scariest day of my life.
What am I about to do?
Yeah.
But it's the fact that you still fucking threw yourself in it, which was, again, this real endearing thing about you. Like, you don't know unless you fucking try.
Yeah. That NFG was the hardest day of my life. But then when Hunter asked me to race with him, that, like, 5 weeks was just, I couldn't think about anything else.
I can imagine.
I was so worried. Like, every morning I woke up and I was just like, fuck, what happens here? What happens if this happens? What, like, you start doubting everything. And you don't want to let him down because he's a fucking world champion. But at the same time, like, you've got all your business there watching you do this, and, like, you're trying to put up a time that's that's good. Like, I don't want to be the face. I don't want to be the guy behind 247 and him not be good. That's just, like, false, isn't it? Or at least I feel like it is. And I feel like this day and age now, especially with people like yourself, like, the brand builder, the person behind it, the personality, is really what people buy into. So it would be a disservice not to give it my all. And my all is not as good as what most people's all can be at that high level. But if I can still show up and do as much as I can, then.
I think you're right. It's not what the people at the highest level can do in terms of time available to you, but I think in terms of what you've achieved from 2019 to 2024, in both business and body, and just what your body is capable of, I don't think I honestly couldn't reference anyone else.
Yeah.
And I don't say that lightly.
I like that.
But you've built a business that is, 83% growth year on year, whatever it may be, but physically, from showing up every day, 6-7 days a week. I know you don't have necessarily the wife or the girlfriend or the kids that can.
Yeah, that's another thing. I do have the time to do it.
But even so, you're making the time.
Still,
it's relentless. And I think, the fact that you can run at 53 minutes, you still got to be able to hang with Hunter. It's not, he might have taken a bit more of the lion's share of some of the stations, but you still got to be able to hang.
Yeah.
The same, there's a number of other examples where you've achieved some great things in fitness. So I think it's just a lesson to people that if you do want to put your mind to something, whatever it is, whether it's in fitness, business, relationships or whatever.
Yeah.
And continual exposure is really important.
Yeah, it is. And I always think, I know it might sound a bit fucking hard, but like I have notifications on my phone, like reminders. Every morning I wake up, it says I'll die for this shit, because I will die for it. Like, I would die out there with Hunter just to fucking hang on. And there was a moment where I thought I was going to die. It is what it is.
Yeah, hold on. You set a reminder, comes up on your phone, says I'll die.
Yeah. I'd die for it.
I've
die
seen
for
them
the
come
fucking
through.
business. Yeah.
Again, it's the little things that people don't see.
Yeah.
They see the nice car, they see the nice house, they see the CLA. But having spent a week with you, I spent a lot of time with you over the last sort of 12 months. It is genuinely relentless. Like most people wouldn't survive your timetable on a 7-day period.
Well, you don't realize that when you're in it. Like, that's why I like hanging around with you, because you're the same as me. And like the people that were around, like we're all on that level.
Yeah. That's what, that's truly what I love as well. And I think that's what's really important for a lot of people listening, is that when they can start to find their tribe and their people, and they can, we spoke about this on the panel, is like start to model those behaviors of people they're trying to emulate, and then one just pushes the other, and then you find that next person. You can all start growing together, and it genuinely becomes impenetrable when you think about collaboration, leveling up with each other, pushing each other, challenge. It's a powerful concept.
And you have this wall up where you feel like you can't go back, can't fall off. Like I could never fall off this now. There's no way I could go back to being overweight or not training or whatever. But then that also comes with its problems, because you sacrifice so much. Like I sacrificed so much in the past 5 years. Like not spoke to a girl, not done anything like outside of work. I would hardly ever drinking whatsoever. Like all that kind of shit. Like not even making time to go out because you want to get your 8 hours sleep so you can train in the morning. But what are you even training for? You know what I mean? It's just like there's so much that comes with it.
I think it's a period of your life.
Yeah.
Given what you built, that's a necessity.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we're very much aligned in terms of what we want from life, and seeing what you built is a product of fucking hard work, consistency, and just ruthlessness. And the other side of that, when you do decide to settle down with a girl and have kids, if that's kind of what you want, you built a life that's
that can hold it.
Yeah. I reckon we're there, boys. Mike can go back into retirement from podcasts. It's been 4 years. I mean, I think that was fucking power. That ultimately, I think what you guys are creating would represent for both guys and girls is just, in the UK, it's just so inspirational to watch and follow. You got these two guys that one is in the shadows and is a true artist, but still has that same mindset of by any means necessary we're going to make this work, and the others out there fucking kicking down doors and chasing down every opportunity that you can. And for people like me who's passionate about building brand, building team, having a long-lasting legacy in this space, where I want Marchon to be a household name.
Yeah, you want it to be way bigger than yourself.
100%. I want people to. I want when I'm sort of gone, or when I'm wherever, hopefully in Bali, fucking sipping coconuts on the beach.
But that'll last 2 hours, and then you'll be like, all right, pissed off. You want to compete? You need to do that.
I just want that bit of Marchon to be carried forward, and I think with culture, connection, community, all the things we're doing, like people can carry the baton forward. And I do think what you guys are creating with your team and the people within it, and also the customers that are so passionate about what you guys do, like people will carry that far and wide to the Maldives and even further afield. It's been fucking good to have you both on this podcast. It means a lot to me. Last week in Miami was sensational. Looking forward to watching you guys go from strength to strength, and hopefully another collab later down the line. But boys, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having us on, man. Appreciate it.